Welcome back to the Charter Podcast. What's up, everyone? This show brought to you by St. Xavier University. Happy to be back with you. Ruthie Polinsky, Clay Harbor, and 𝗗cie Shapiro here to talk about this Bears offseason that is just, you can feel it brewing. You know, it's cooking. The water's starting to boil. All the ingredients are getting ready. It's all happening behind the scenes. The combine kicks off next week. And free agency is soon after, and then it's the draft, and they're off and running. So let's get into it. Clay, 𝗗cie, how we doing?
Doing marvelously. We just shot some sweet digital content that's going to be available on YouTube and our app, and it was a ton of fun. And now we get to shoot more digital content. So it's been a wonderful day.
Here we are.
I'm doing great as well. It's 5 a.m. workout club here this morning for me. Went out to the suburbs at a workout class, do 2-a-days over here. And then we got to shoot some great content. And now we're going to be talking some more off-season Bears. We got the show later. This is just a perfect day for Clay Harbor.
Love that. Clay, just always flexing on how much more you are exercising than the rest of the human population. Let's get into some of the biggest news of the day, guys. The NFL informing teams today that the 2025 salary cap will be roughly $277.5 million to $281.5 million. So that's an increase of about 22 to 26 million from last year. And it's a lot more than what I think a lot of executives were anticipating, according to what I've sort of been gathering from my reading today. Let's quickly start off by just sort of your reaction to this news and what it could potentially mean for the offseason market.
I think the first reaction is more money for players, and they deserve it. It's the players who are putting their bodies on the line, who are bringing us this wonderful game. So they should be rewarded handsomely. So happy that the players are going to make more money. What does it mean for the Bears? I mean, on a surface level, it's all the same teams all get the bump, right? They all get that extra flexibility. So it's not like the Bears are the only team that are getting this extra cash to work with. However, since the Bears were already near the top of the free cap space, right? Top 5 in free cap space. If there's a guy that they just have circled 3 times at the top of their sheet and they really, really want to outbid everybody else, it helps them to do that, right? Now they have even more ammunition that they can be like, we will seriously outbid everybody else if we really, 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 really want you. But it's more money for everybody. So again, congrats to the players. Go get paid.
Yeah, this increase means the cap has increased over $53 million over the past 2 years, which I just think shows you where the NFL is going. I mean, the popularity of the sport is soaring. The media contracts are soaring. And with the amount of digital content, with the amount of streaming that people are doing in streaming companies, this is just going to keep going. So I think the way that you can kind of look at this, and I look at this, is now you can start to see a trend. 1 year, 2 years, this is going to keep going. So now you could probably backload some contracts here because you're going to know that this salary cap is going to keep going up. So you can sign some longer term deals knowing that the fact that this salary cap is going to go up, you'll get some bargains. So I think that's something you might see change. And with all these new streaming companies trying to get into the game because they know the NFL tickets, the NFL games are gold in this space, more so than basketball, more so than baseball, more so than any other sport. Getting an NFL game will boost your sales. I did a paper about this during my MBA course. This is huge for the NFL and for the streaming services. So this will change contracts, the way they're written, the way they're negotiated. And I think the smart GMs that get ahead of this and realize you could probably backload some of these contracts instead of front loading them will be ahead of the game.
It's good stuff, guys. And you wonder, like, is this going to be more money per player, or is it going to be more players get money? Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Especially when I sort of look at what it means for the Bears. Does this mean that 𝗗cie Smith is going to be asking for a larger number than he initially anticipated because he knows teams have more money to spend? Or does this mean that the Bears can now delegate more money to additional free agent players that they maybe didn't have budgeted for, initially? So probably a combination of both, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, you can look at the Roquan Smith, how that all played out, right? The Bears, instead of paying Roquan Smith a ton of money, used essentially that same money to pay 2 linebackers, Tremaine Edmonds and TJ Edwards, right? So you can look at it both ways. If I was Trey Smith, I'd be asking for a lot more. My price just went up several $1 million. So we've seen Ryan Poles spread that money out to get more players, but that was more when he really needed to build this roster up, right? There was almost no talent on the Bears when he tore it down to the studs and started a rebuild. So they needed to spread that money out over multiple players to fill a ton of holes. But it will also afford you the opportunity to go get a superstar. You know, you can get, more superstars now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think obviously the league, when the salary cap increases, I think you need to make sure that you increase the minimum salary. I always look out for those guys, the guys that are on the roster and are still making those minimum deals. But to me, it's going to be the rich get richer because the bidding wars. How do you increase your value? Your value goes up and guys are just going to start getting paid a little bit more because when you create that value for yourself and there's competition there, teams now have more money to use. So that's just going to go to the top guys at first, but the league and the NFLPA will make sure that minimum salaries are raised and that the base salary for guys will be higher as well.
All right, good stuff, guys. The other sort of piece of news, housekeeping to do, is that Ian Cunningham seems to be the front runner for this general manager role in Jacksonville. I feel like that's good news for the Bears. It's good news for Ian Cunningham, and it's something we're definitely keeping our eye on.
Yeah, if he gets signed, if he does become the next general manager, the Bears would get a compensatory 3rd-round pick this year and next year. And we talked about, all year we talked about how much work the Bears have to do in the trenches. So having an extra 3rd-round pick is huge. Ian Cunningham has also been very important in this front office. So if the Bears retained him, it also wouldn't be the worst thing in the world because he's a really good assistant GM, right? We've seen the videos of him telling Ryan Poles, hey, cool it, man. We don't need to trade up for Roma Dunze. Let's give away the farm. He's had his fingerprints on some deals, right? The Bears have had a good relationship with the Eagles. It's where he came from. You can kind of see that connection there. So, all the best for Ian Cunningham, no matter where he lands. And the Bears would obviously love the comp picks, but Ian Cunningham and Ryan Poles are a great, great team together. And I don't think it would be the worst thing in the world if they kept that team together.
Yeah, I think when you look at the list, I think Cunningham is definitely the front runner. He flirted with the Commanders job last year. I think he interviewed with them. He was a finalist. He interviewed last offseason with the Titans, with his background with the Eagles and then going back to the Ravens as the area scout. I think that it's time for him to get the opportunity. And like Alex alluded to, the Bears would get 3 a 3rd-round pick this year and next year for that. And then I think another reason he is the clubhouse leader is because he does share an agent with Liam Cohen. And I think that we're all too familiar with that with the GM Ryan Poles, obviously last year, and Matt Eberflus with Trace Armstrong. That got played up a lot as their relationship. And knowing that Liam Cohen's agent is 𝗗cie𝘄ဖိ𝗹que, who is a former teammate of mine, who played with him for a couple of years down in Jacksonville, was a good teammate, and apparently now doing a good job as an agent. I think that's interesting. That's another layer there. It's a little bit more personal. You have a guy with the same agent that does give him a leg up.
It's great stuff. Obviously, nothing guaranteed yet, so keeping our eye out, and it's interesting. Okay, guys, let's move into some games because it's a little not slow, but just, we're kind of waiting for, as I mentioned, the water's boiling. Things are cooking behind the scenes, and we'll be able to serve a platter here shortly. But let's get into your dream scenarios of this Bears offseason starting now, right? I think a lot of people, their first thing on their list would have been hire Ben Johnson. Okay, check. So after that, what are some of the dream scenarios that come to mind when you think of what this offseason needs to look like from here on out? Clay, I know we talked about this on the Big Pro Football Show. You can keep them the same in Clay's corner, or you can tweak a little bit as of today's news, because I think there is some development that we'll also get to on the Big Pro Football Show. But since Clay talked about it yesterday, Alex, why don't we start with you? And you guys can just kind of exchange. How about back and forth?
Okay, sounds good. Now, since I won a dubious rock, paper, scissors, the last time we did this kind of exercise, I'm going to try and not snipe Clay's guys and Clay's topics, because I have a feeling I know where he is going with some of these. So my number 3, we'll go backwards. My number 3 right now is to sign a reliable center. Young quarterback, the center play was okay at times, but you want really reliable play for Caleb Williams in the middle there, especially as the Bears rework this thing. So I am looking at Ryan Kelly, who is a veteran dude, a reliable dude, has played a lot of good football, was a captain for the Indianapolis Colts, a tone setter for that team, 4-time Pro Bowler. So he's a little bit bigger than Coleman Shelton. He's stout. And again, I'm looking for reliable veteran guys to anchor the middle of that line. Clay, I know you're going to have another center who is another good option. I'm looking at Ryan Kelly of the Indianapolis Colts.
I like the pick, man. Ryan Kelly is a guy that, I mean, he just looks mean. He's a guy you want to block next to. You want that guy to be your center. He's been around. He's seen it all. He's going to be able to point out fronts when you're looking to see who the mic is. He's going to be able to point out the mic when they're trying to confuse you. He's a guy that can lead an offensive line. I can tell you guys from experience, it is important to have a good center that you can trust to ID the right guys, so you know where to start. It all starts with the center. He points out the mic, and that sometimes it's different. And then your protections all flow off the center. So you got to have a center, and having a veteran guy like Ryan Kelly would be an upgrade. I like a different guy. Ryan Kelly's 31, about to be 32. My guy is Drew Dahlman, who is the former Atlanta Falcon, who is 26. He's going to be 26. So this guy is still young, and he's had some good years. He was ranked as the 4th best pass blocker by Pro Football Focus last year, and he is a guy that can run block, he can pass block, he's suited for a zone scheme. Ben Johnson likes to run the duo, the zone scheme. He's a smart guy. He went to Stanford. His dad played in the NFL for 8 seasons. His dad was a coach at Stanford. I mean, he's just bred to play football. He's a smart, intelligent guy, was academic all-conference in college, so you know he knows his stuff. They speak highly of him in Atlanta, and he is a guy that could come in right away and really solve your center problems. So I think we're both on the same position. We know how important it is as a broad overview to have a strong center of your line and just the position center. We've been dipping our toe in the water, trying to find a replacement here, replacement there. Go ahead and free agency, sign yourself a veteran center that is proven, pay a little bit of money. You got the 6th most cap space in the entire NFL. You just got a little bit of bump. Let's bring one of these guys into Chicago to put in front of your second-year quarterback.
I will be very curious to see if the Falcons let him leave, right? And I always wonder, why do teams let guys like that leave if they do? So just going to be curious to see if Dahlman is a free agent, right? Or if he's, They have
to, because the thing about being a center is, with offensive line, when it comes to the franchise tag, they don't do it positionally. They do it as a unit. So if you're going to franchise, the value between a tackle and a center and a guard is so different as far as what the average per year is. If you're franchise tagging an interior lineman, he's going to get paid like the top 5 tackles, because those are the guys that get paid. He's in the free market. He is a free agent. So there's nothing they can do except for franchise tag him. So if you throw more money than the Falcons do at him, it'll be up to him. Obviously, maybe he wants to stay in Atlanta. They had a solid offensive line there. Obviously, their year wasn't great with Kirk Cousins. Just, you never knew what happened there. Michael Penix coming back. So there's a little bit of a question mark in Atlanta. If you throw more money at him than Atlanta, he's going to be a free agent. Free market, baby. Capitalism. Okay. He's going to get to decide.
Okay. Love it. It's great stuff. I think it's interesting. I'm working the phones here to learn more about Drew Dahlman, so I'll get back to you on that. Let's go to your next dream scenario. So, okay, so right now, first thing they do, they get a center. Woohoo, check mark. Moving on, what's next?
All right, so for me, it's going to be trading back with one of the second round picks the Bears have. Right now, the Bears are slotted in at 39 and 41. So those are two, premium second round picks. And the Bears very well could just pick both of those players if they've got guys graded super high and they're still on their board, make the picks, great. But the Bears, again, we've said it so many times, have so much work to do in the trenches, offensive line and defensive line. I think the best way to address all those holes, more draft picks, more bites at the apple, more swings, right? So with 39 and with 41, if there's a large cloud of players still available that you still like, we've got solid grades on a handful of guys. Trade one of those picks away, get some more picks in, and now you're able to address more positions. Now you can get a center and a guard, or you can get a guard and a defensive tackle, or you can get a defensive end and an offensive tackle. You can just address more and more and more. So again, there's depth, right? We saw it at the Senior Bowl. We're going to see it again. Like, there are lots of players on day 2 that are really interesting, that are intriguing, that have high upside. More swings you take, the more opportunities you have on hitting players. So I'm trading back one of those 2 picks to get more draft picks to take more swings.
I like it. And for me, I think center is very important. What else is important? The rest of the interior offensive line. And I think you got to grab a guard. Maybe in the draft you're thinking guard, but you got 2 guard positions that you need, and that's assuming you're not bringing back Tevin Jenkins. And I like Matt Pryor, but Matt Pryor, I want him as a swing backup. I wouldn't mind seeing him back in a Bears uniform, but not as your starter. Ryan Bates, wouldn't mind seeing him as a backup. He's still under contract, but I want a high-level offensive line. So for me, I want to see you with Trey Smith. We talked about Trey Smith, Pro Bowler. He went 732 snaps this year without giving up a sack. I thought his playoff performance was poor. I thought he could have been better in the playoffs. Alex liked what he saw, minus a couple of plays in the Super Bowl. But I think Trey Smith, take the swing. You have the money. If you don't get Trey Smith, go for Zeitler. Former Detroit Lion. He knows Ben Johnson's system. He is still playing at an extremely high level. He's 34, going on 35. But age is just a number, baby. This guy is still contributing. He's still physical. He's still moving guys in the run game, and you're not getting past him in the pass game. He's got a couple good years left, and he knows the system. And I can't tell you guys enough, when you have a guy that's been in a system, a new system that you're going to, that you can come to and ask questions about it in your locker room when you're sitting next to him, hey, you're going out to meetings, you're going out to the field, it is important. He can teach, he can demonstrate, he's on the field. He's been in this. This is nothing new to him. He's a veteran in the Ben Johnson system. He's had success in this system. So he knows the idiosyncrasies of how to be successful. You bring a guy like him in on a 2-year, maybe 3-year deal that's still having success. He can coach up some of these younger guys that you're bringing in as well. So if you don't get Trey Smith, bring in Zeitler.
Clay, you brought up a great point, because the last 2-ish years, who's been the leader on the offensive line? Who's been the voice? Who's been the coach on the field? There's not really someone, not just for the other offensive linemen, but for the quarterback too. And you talk about it, like how important it is for, especially when you talk about the center position, to have that rapport and communication and leadership with the quarterback. But I think it makes a lot of sense to add someone like that, as long as he's got, gas in the tank and, isn't going to be necessarily a liability. I think it's important to have more strong voices on the offensive line from what we've seen in the past.
Yeah, absolutely. They need leadership. Okay. They need leadership in that room.
Okay. Third and final dream scenario. I don't know why I just said third and final, but I think 3 is enough for us to hypothesize that. 3 is good. Alex, what's next for you?
So
now you got what? You got more draft capital and you have a center. What else do you want?
So since we have more draft capital, because we are projecting that we're trading away our day 2 pick, With the number 10 pick, I am taking the best player on my board in the trenches, regardless of offense, defense, inside, outside. I think a lot of teams, they say we need a right tackle. We need a edge rusher. And we're going to really look at that position and we're going to fit that need. The Bears, I don't think, have that luxury. They have so many holes that I think it behooves them more to just get as much blue chip talent as possible on that roster. And yes, okay, I am focusing on the trenches, but there's a lot of positions in the trenches. So if the Bears have a blue chip grade on an edge rusher who is there and they don't have a blue chip grade on any other offensive lineman on the board, take the edge rusher if he's your blue chip guy. If they have a blue chip grade on a left tackle and not really edge rushers or anybody else, you take that left tackle. So whoever is the best player available on the board, regardless of where he plays on the lines, that's the guy I'm identifying, because the Bears just need a ton of talent, again, on both sides of the ball.
Love it, Alex. And that's exactly what I went with in a big pro football show yesterday. And I went with Mike Green. I thought that, we both saw him out there at the Senior Bowl, and I think he's going to show out at the Combine. He's an explosive guy. He's a guy I think will run in the 4.4s, maybe low 4.5s. He's going to jump. He's going to test well. He's a guy that had 17 sacks and he had a tackle for loss in 12 of his 13 games. So he's consistent. He got recruited as a 3-star wide receiver, so he's athletic. Bulked up when he went to Virginia, played linebacker, then he transferred down to Marshall at an edge rusher, and now he got 17 sacks last year and just looks like an absolute menace. Thing is, he plays in the run game as well. So I really like the edge. You need another edge rusher there. And if you don't go there in the draft, maybe you go Will Campbell. You get a tackle. And I know Braxton Jones is a solid player. He's done okay. He was a 5th-round pick. He's outplayed his lot where he was taken, but a guy like Will Campbell is just a difference maker. He's a guy that's a stone wall. I know he doesn't have the longest arms or anything, but he's a nasty player. He can get to the second level. He's a guy that knows how to double team. He can just lock down an edge of a defense and just know that the pressure isn't coming off the edge. And then if you don't go edge and you do go tackle, hear me out here, Ruthie. I know you're gonna cringe at this one, but Khalil, return of the Mac. What do you think? Khalil Mack is a free agent. He had one of his best years. His 78.7 run defense grade was second in the NFL. His overall grade ranked 5th. He is still putting out numbers. He is still a difference maker. Why not bring Khalil back to Chicago? I mean, it makes sense. The headlines, Return of the Mac. You can read them now. You know that song. I think if you could put him with Montez Sweat, and then you just focus the draft on your offensive line with some other key free agents, that'd be huge for me.
It sounds good, Clay. There's a reason we're calling this the dream scenario, because I don't think he's coming back here. I don't think so. So love that for you, but
for everybody who was listening and not watching on YouTube, Ruthie was just shaking her head side to side throughout the entire time Clay is talking.
I'm like, what are we doing here? No, it's a cute idea, Clay. I like it. And listen, I could be wrong, but I don't see that happening for many reasons.
It's a new complete organization. So hey,
this is the organization.
That's the first thing Ryan Poles did.
Ryan Poles traded Khalil Mack. First thing he got here, he said, "Bye, you're gone."
Okay, I retract my previous statement. It's a new team, but this team is on the up and coming. But yeah, it's far-fetched, but I think that's it would be interesting.
He's still what would make Khalil Mack feel a lot better about being traded? A lot of money. Money talks.
I don't know if he's worth a lot of money anymore, but we will see. Great stuff, guys. Really good hypothesis game. We love a what if, we love those things. So basically, what you guys just told me is the Bears are going to the Super Bowl, and that's going to be fun. So I appreciate you all.
Good vibes only is back.
That's my dream scenario. Just win, just do what it takes to win. Clay Harbor, Alex Shapiro, great stuff, guys. We'll do this again next week.
Woo!
All right. Thanks for listening to the Charter Podcast. This is brought to you by St. Xavier University. See you later.